There's a concept in physics called the Great Filter. It's a theory that tries to explain why we have found intelligent life in the universe. It suggests there's a barrier, a challenge so immense that almost no species ever survives it. Most people think that filter is somewhere in the stars, waiting for us in the future. But what if we are wrong? What if the greatest filter isn't out there in the cosmos, but down here, beneath our feet? Dr. Aris Thorne believed the deep ocean was the last truly quiet place on Earth. As a xenogeologist aboard the research vessel Hesperus, her job was to map the unknown. For 6 months, they had been charting the Palmer Deep, a newly discovered trench off the coast of Antarctica, thousands of meters deeper than any other in the region. For Aris, it was a world of beautiful, predictable emptiness. Cold, quiet, and dark. The peace broke on a Tuesday. The ship's deep scan sonar, a device that could paint a picture of the Earth's crust miles down, picked up an anomaly. It wasn't a shipwreck, or a unique mineral deposit, or the fall of a whale. It was a structure. At the very bottom of the trench, over 9,000 meters down, was something impossibly geometric. A perfect spire, miles wide at its base, tapering to a point so sharp it seemed to defy the eons of crushing pressure. It looked manufactured. But the most unsettling part was the signal. A low-frequency pulse, emanating from the spire's core. It wasn't seismic. It wasn't volcanic. It was rhythmic. A slow, steady beat. Thump, thump. Thump, thump. The most senior audio technician on board turned pale. He said, "Aris, that sounds like a heartbeat." Excitement and disbelief warred on the ship. A geological formation couldn't have a heartbeat. They ran every diagnostic. It was real. There was only one way to know for sure. Aris was the most qualified pilot for the Triton, their deep-sea submersible. A cramped titanium sphere designed to withstand pressures that could turn a human body to jelly. The descent took 4 hours. 4 hours of sinking through layers of blackness. The world of light and air vanished, replaced by the gentle snow of marine detritus and the occasional, ghostly flash of a bioluminescent creature dancing outside her tiny viewport. The pressure gauge climbed relentlessly. 2,000 meters. When she reached the trench floor, her floodlights cut through the primordial darkness and landed on the spire. The sonar hadn't done it justice. It was colossal, made of a material that was perfectly black, swallowing the light from her sub. The surface was impossibly smooth, with angles and curves that felt wrong, unnatural. She guided the Triton closer, her own heart pounding in her ears, a frantic counterpoint to the slow, colossal beat coming from the spire. She activated the sub's material scanner, a laser designed to analyze rock composition. The results that came back made no sense. The computer flashed a single, impossible classification: biocrystalline. Part mineral, part organic tissue. The truth hit her with the force of a physical blow. This wasn't a structure. It was a creature. A dormant life form on a geological scale, sleeping in the crushing dark for millennia. And she was a fly buzzing next to a sleeping god. Suddenly, the beat changed. It quickened. Thump, thump, thump. Thump, thump, thump. Her proximity to it, the hum of her sub's electronics, her sonar pings, they were waking it up. Her comms crackled. The bridge was shouting something, but their voices were lost in a wave of static. And then, through the static, a new sound emerged. It was coming from the creature. It was reflecting her own sonar waves back at her, but altered, arranged into complex, repeating patterns. It wasn't just a heartbeat anymore. It was a language. And it was speaking to her. Her mind flooded, not with words, but with sensations, images, feelings that were not her own. She felt the crushing weight of time on a scale she couldn't comprehend. She saw the birth of stars, not from a telescope, but as if she were there. She felt a loneliness so profound, so ancient, it felt like a physical cold seeping into the sub. And above all, she felt a sense of waiting, of a long, long sleep, filled with dreams of a world that no longer existed. The vibrations intensified. The entire trench was humming now. The creature, this ancient leviathan, was stirring. Her presence was the celestial alarm clock it had been waiting for. Aris, get out of there. The whole trench is destabilizing. The voice of her captain finally broke through the static, strained with panic. She slammed the controls for an emergency ascent. The Triton's thrusters fired, rocketing her upwards, away from the waking Titan. The submersible was tossed around violently as the seafloor itself seemed to shift and groan below. For an agonizing hour, she fought the controls, praying the viewport wouldn't crack, that the hull would hold. She broke the surface in a spray of icy Antarctic water, gasping for air she didn't realize she'd been holding. She was alive. She was safe. Back on the deck of the Hesperus, wrapped in a thermal blanket, she stared at the sonar display. The rhythmic, slow heartbeat from the Palmer Deep was gone. The entire crew breathed a collective sigh of relief. But then, a new signal replaced it. A single, steady, low-frequency hum. It was clear, powerful, and unwavering. It wasn't the sound of something sleeping anymore. It was the sound of something awake, aware, and listening. They hadn't just discovered the greatest secret in the history of the planet. They had rung the universe's oldest doorbell. The quiet was over. And as Aris looked out at the vast, empty ocean, she could only wonder what would happen when the thing that lived at the bottom of the world decided it was finally time to come to the surface.